Aaron and I have been working on the Magical Egypt series, and we've just finished episode 5. Episode 5 is about the symbolism of the snake and about the traditions of alchemy, which may not on the surface seem that connected, but have this hidden thread that we will talk about today. Aaron is also, for people that don't know, Magical Egypt, this iteration of Magical Egypt is an unusual project because we deal with the subjects of ancient Egypt, of course, like the original Magical Egypt, but this time we come at it through a different doorway, through the doorway of aesthetics and art. Our premise was that through an aesthetic study, we can forensically recreate the culture and even understand important things about the science of ancient Egypt through a study of the art and the aesthetics of ancient Egypt and much of the ancient world. And it was through this door that we really made some important inroads that are, in most cases, haven't been recognized by Orthodox Egyptology, but in some cases are actually hotly denied by Egyptology. But in the artwork and in the aesthetics and in the didactic architecture, there is such a preponderance of evidence that testifies to this amazing and unexpected degree of scientific sophistication, in particular about knowledge of brain and nervous system and the biological subsystems that combine to create the experience of consciousness. So when we talk about alchemy, one of the things that Aaron brought to the table is this complete understanding of not just Schwaller de Lübecks, which is a recurring theme in the show, but the alchemical process that Schwaller was fairly steeped in. And it was one of the things that allowed Schwaller to really connect with Egypt in the first place. In fact, Aaron, could you tell that story about the 3-4-5 triangle? We'll be talking a lot about triangles today. And Aaron, as an expert in Schwaller de Lübecks, tells a really good story about what first connected Schwaller de Lübecks to Luxor Temple.
Right. Yeah, well, Schwaller was, he was drawn to Egypt, obviously, before he went there, because he was living in Switzerland, up in St. Moritz, in like a scientific, an esoteric workstation called Suhalia, and he put out an Egyptian-themed tarot deck there. But when they left Switzerland, they sailed on this yacht, which Schwaller designed himself, and spent a few years.
Interesting point. I'm sorry to butt in, but on that point, Schwaller was a geometer, an amazing genius of multidisciplinary genius. Designed a hull or a prow or a shape of a boat using sacred geometry, and there was something about the shape of this boat that would divide the water in a certain way and then bring the water back around behind the boat to propel it. Right. An amazing just side fact about Schwaller and his trip over there in a boat he designed using sacred geometry. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think it was Robert Lawler that told me that when he was staying with Lucy Lamy or someone it was just his Schwaller's stepdaughter. He was staying in a room that had it's like a scale model of that yacht that Schwaller.
I didn't know that.
Designed. Just an interesting, aside there. But yeah, he sailed to Egypt, and one of the first things that struck him was in the tomb of Ramses IX. There is this motif of a pharaoh. It's got a pharaoh depicted as the hypotenuse of a kind of a Pythagorean 3-4-5 triangle, and so it was at that moment that he realized that Egypt was really the foundation of the Pythagorean tradition, and by extension, the alchemical and hermetic tradition, of which he was already a seasoned adept.
That 3-4-5 triangle is a symbol that's that's of some importance to Masons. When I went with my friend Lon Duquette to London to the Masonic headquarters, in one of the floors of the Masonic headquarters, they have the symbol for each one of the degrees of Masonry. So, the rough ashlar and the 3 points and things like that. And the 3-4-5 triangle, which is also called, what is it, 42nd proposition of Euclid, I believe the Masons call it. Anyway, that particular triangle was not only of extreme interest to Masons, but to the Theosophic Society, of which Schwaller. I didn't know Schwaller was the head of the Theosophical Society. Not as many people know that about Schwaller, that he was actually the head of the Theosophical Society, and so had access to this fantastically wide-ranging body of esotericism.
Yeah, he was definitely closely involved with the French Theosophical Society, and he's very similar to Rudolf Steiner. They were both involved with the Theosophical Society very early, and then they both parted ways with it and kind of developed their own paths independently. But yeah, the three-fourth. I mean, the triangular or triadic. There's a, I guess you could call it a triangular or triadic philosophy that really underpins Schwaller's whole alchemy, and of course in alchemy it's encoded in the symbols of sulfur, mercury, and salt, which are always conceived as a kind of a triad. And it doesn't. And what you have to understand about that trinity is that it's a juncture of formative forces which combine to create the formed world. And broadly speaking, in a cosmological sense, but also down to every detail of manifestation. So they were considered the principles the invisible principles which create and shape visible things.